It's another weekend, wasn't it, with another defeat for West Ham this season. Four defeats out of five. Shocking, really, really bad. And it's piling the pressure, of course, on Graham Potter. Despite all that, though, hope you're good. Hope you have a decent Monday so far. We had an update from XWH employees. I'm going to talk about that with regards to the manager situation, regards to Graham Potter's future and his possible replacements. He's going. Let's get it right here. I want to make it very clear. Graham Potter is on his way out of the football club. It's just a case of when, not if. But look, before I get into it, new to the channel, do subscribe. Funny enough, actually, half of you watching this, 50%, literally bang on pretty much 50%, are people that regularly come back and watch videos and whatnot and comment even, but not subscribers. Check it out. Let's go and sort that out. Because it was originally 30% that were only people that were subscribers. So it's getting better. Let's keep going. Let's keep growing, because I'll tell you what, that would be an enormous number if you can. So if you could just check it out for me, I'd really appreciate it. Also hit that like button and feel like if you want to hype it up. Why not? Right. I'm going to talk about the managerial situation following what was yet another loss for us the weekend. Really, really poor again from West Ham, wasn't it? No fight, really, in my opinion. Especially that first half was just so flat, so depressing. And I just think that epitomises everything that's sort of wrong with West Ham at the moment. The fact we're going into a game of that magnitude in terms of how important it is to Graham Potter, and then you get that kind of performance. It just screams alarm bells, doesn't it? It's just, you're thinking there's a big problems here, and the players just don't seem to be playing for Potter, and we can keep doing this whole giving him more time, things will eventually click. There's no signs, are there? There's no signs there that are indicating things are set to change at West Ham, or you can be encouraged by. I just don't think there's anything there. And we are now 5 games into the Premier League season with 4 defeats, and now it's 3 London derbies at home that we've lost all 3. It's pretty shambolic, actually, and pretty disgusting. I think it's it's only going one way now. So we've had an update from XWHU employee of where things are, because obviously the big question at the moment, aside from what's going on with the board, is Graham Potter and his future and what's going on about it. Now, I'm going to warn you, the update isn't great, in my opinion. Certain things in it I'm not happy about. I'll give my thoughts of it after, but let me read it out. Don't shoot me, just a messenger. And same for X, really. He's only providing what he knows. So this is where we are. Right. So this is from XWHU employee. This is pretty much off the press as well. So at the moment, it appears that Graham Potter will remain in the post for the time being. Whilst I know there are serious conversations that have taken place regarding his future, the board appears to be holding off and pulling the trigger at the moment, but pressure is mounting and they could be swayed. Now, I just want to quickly elaborate on that. Spoken to X about this update, and there is indications from certain people at very senior level. Now, this is not David Sullivan, because we know that he's not talking to the club. Well, he's talking to the club, I imagine, but he's not talking. But he's not talking to media and whatnot. Okay, so this has come from somebody else who've indicated that something could happen sooner. But just want to make that clear. Okay, so that's what that means. Ideally, for the board, they would like to get to the summer before having to make a decision, because we believe there's a break clause in Potter's contract, so that he can have his contract terminated for no compensation. What a surprise! West Ham, West Ham are considering the money side of it, right? Okay, of course. Don't worry about the relegation. Don't worry about that. This is going to cost a couple of quid, isn't it, to deal with this? It doesn't seem possible, though, for the former Chelsea boss to keep his job for that long. Graham Potter's definitely leaving the club. I think that's very evident. That Graham Potter will not be our manager by the end of this season. I'm 100% certain of that. In fact, he could be gone before the Everton game, but I'm going to give my thoughts on it in a minute. Although not officially confirmed, it does appear that he will have at least the Everton game and possibly even the Arsenal game. In quite a defeatist attitude, the board feel that these games are tough games and it would be better to start with Brentford at home for the new manager. Now, this is coming from X, obviously. This is his personal point of view, and this is my view as well. The cynic would also say this could be conveniently timed to coincide with a planned protest to boycott the game, whereby a new manager appointed could persuade some fans not to boycott it. Would you put it past the board? I certainly wouldn't. Of course, the front runners for the job are all managers that are out of contract. Oh, you're joking. And therefore not require compensation. I mean, nothing changes. Nothing changed, despite the enormous amount of pressure on the board, the attention that they're getting from the media, the protests and everything else, they are never going to realise what fans want from them, and in terms of how you deliver this football club. It always boils down to penny pinching where they can, short-term vision, and they just don't get it. The penny will never drop. If the penny's not dropping now, it never will. I mean, we know it won't. I mean, I'm not sitting here surprised. I'm sure you're not. I'm not going, well, really? But you would think after all what's going on, this would be the time they go, do you know what? Should we go and show the fans actually we do care? Let's go out there and try and get the best manager we can. Let's try and get Marco Silva. Why don't we try at least go out there, speak to Fulham and say, what would it take? Speak to him. Would he be up for it? Do you know what I mean? Something like that. Show some ambition. No, we won't be doing that. In fact, actually, do we have to get rid of Potter now because we've got to pay him off? Oh, honestly, painful. The leading contender at the moment is Nuno Espirito Santo, who recently left Nottingham Forest in a European spot. Talks have already been held with Karen Brady and David Sullivan, and we believe that he is considering the offer. Now, that's interesting, the offer. So he has been offered a contract by the sounds of it, or something. So, and he's now considering that. Santo would expect a long-term deal, though, and the board would prefer a shorter-term fix that would be assessed in the summer as to whether they continue with that appointment or a new person is brought in. This is the issue we've now got, because that's what they wanted with Graham Potter, and it's not worked out. So it's almost like now I'm more worried because it makes them think, well, we're definitely not doing that again. But at the end of the day, if you want to get a decent manager in, you've got to offer him a proper deal. He's not going to come in for a few months. Okay. Whether the former Spurs manager will take this option is currently unknown, but it does appear that he is close to agreeing a deal should Potter get the sack. So, from my understanding of that, and I'm going to keep reading, but I think that Nuno is the favourite, and it looks like he will probably be our next manager. That's how I'm seeing it at the moment. That's how I'm seeing it. All right. I think he looks like they've offered him something. He's considered it, and he's quite keen to do it. So, in all of that kind of stuff, in reading between the lines, I think that's where we're at. The other strong contender is former West Ham player and manager Slaven Bilic. Right, this is X talking. I will talk about a lot more about this on the podcast. He's actually been talking to Slaven throughout the weekend. I've spoken to X about that. So this is actually some of the things said were quite interesting. I've got to be honest. He believes, this is X now talking about Bilic, right? He believes that he can make the club more united because he understands and loves West Ham. His first move would be to bring in the likes of Mark Noble as his assistant, James Collins as well, to shore up the defence, and Julian Dix would be offered a role at a later date, as well as possibly even other ex-players helping him. Slaven would be preferred to take the job on a short-term basis with an option to extend, and he also provides an interesting alternative. I'm not confident in Bilic. That's the problem. The problem is with Bilic isn't it, that he hasn't got the best record. That's the problem. You wouldn't, if Bilic has been so successful elsewhere, you'd feel more confident about this. The problem is with Bilic, he seems to be a bit of an impact manager, which let's be honest, might not be a bad thing here, because that's kind of what we need. It feels like someone to come in and just invigorate this squad, get us going, get us through the season, and then settle and then see where we are. And also, I the romantic in me, where my heart leans is that, James Collins back, Noble then dug out with him, wouldn't that be magical? But then you start thinking, yeah, that sounds great, but we've got to face reality here. Is that going to work? I'm not so sure. So, but I will say it was quite interesting what has been said about him, and how what he's been saying to X and stuff. So it does sound like he's quite keen and very driven to turn the situation around. It's hard. Right, this is just bear with me on this one. All right, it's thought also Gary O'Neill could be in the running. He's out of contract, obviously played with the club too. One thing he has as well is that he's a Will Salthouse client. We know he often carries a lot of weight, and Will was also quite influential, and he also helped bring in Lopetegui previously. So Gary O'Neill is in the mix. Other managers that potentially could be offered are Eden Terzic, as we know, we talked about him before. He's a free agent. Raphael Wicki, Swiss international, who's also left Young Boys recently in the Swiss league at the top, or another high-profile Champions League scouts as well in his time there. He's a potential. Also, Michael Carrick, who is also a former West Ham player, of course, but isn't thought to have the experience to take the job for now. Also, he just knocked just a little bit of thing at the end here. He said, as I mentioned on the other week, two or three potential buyers have now been looking around the club to purchase David Gold's shares. The club are hopeful the deal could be concluded within the next couple of months, but we will keep you updated. Right, so I think looking at that, judging that update, I think that Nuno is the favourite. I feel like that is and probably this is just my view. I'd like to just share my thoughts. Let me know yours. Really interested to know. My brain says Nuno, and my heart says Bilic. Brain because I just think with Nuno, if you look at his Premier League record, it's very impressive, really. All right, he might not be the most exciting. He's not. It's going to be very Moyes-esque, I think. Very, very, very solid defensively, counter-attack football. I've got no problem with that, by the way. I'm not one of these people that have this ideology of West Ham being like, we've got to play amazing, beautiful, free-flowing football constantly, and that's how it should be. I loved our time when it worked under Moyes. When we were a really good counter-attack team, I actually found it really exciting because it was just brilliant. Every time we went, it was like, oh my God, we're going to go and score. So when it works, no problem at all. Because let's not forget, we finished sixth for that way of playing football, and I didn't complain once. So I've got no real issue with it. The problem you're going to have is that you're now going back to a style that you're trying to get away from. It's a confusing message. But just removing Moyes and what we've been trying to achieve here at West Ham, I put that pin in that for a minute. Looking at this season and where West Ham actually currently are, I look at Nuno and think he's the best option, just because he's got that Premier League experience. He'll come in, he knows the league, he knows the opponents, he knows what he's doing, and he's proven that he can deal with it. He's been at clubs like West Ham before that haven't been doing so well. He's been at Wolves and got them into Europe. He got to Nottingham Forest, for God's sake, and had him in the top three pretty much for most of the season. So he can get results, and I think when you look at West Ham at the moment, that's what we need. We just need results. We need to start getting points on the board, getting away from this relegation dogfight, and hopefully get someone who can get us in, get us away from that, and have a half-decent season. I think then we can assess it. That's my mind, right? That's my brain and sort of sensible. And my reading X's update there, I think that's what's going to happen. That's my gut feeling, right? But then the heart in me says, wouldn't it be magical to have Bilic and Noble, Collins? I mean, imagine if that was the case and really shaking this team up and getting them playing. And can you imagine if we had he had a great season for us? Because the thing is with Bilic, if you look at his record, he always tends to have a very, very good first season. Did very well at Croatia, very, very good early on, then it went away. West Ham, same thing. But obviously I had to bear in mind that we did have Dimitri Payet. But regardless of that, he did have a very, very good first season for us. I think we finished 7th, didn't we, under Bilic? If I remember rightly, yeah, we did, didn't we? We finished 7th in that season at the farewell bowling. And, so I do have that kind of like my heart leans to that. That's the romantic side of me in football. So that's where I'm at. I'm sort of those two minds. I don't like the idea of Gary O'Neill. I just don't, it's not inspiring. I'm not interested in that. And don't get me wrong, I really like Gary O'Neill. He's a great talker, but I've got no confidence in that at all. I really do not want to see that happen. I think that would be one that would just not go down well at all. Michael Carrick, I again love him and good fair play to him, but I do actually have to tend to agree. The club feel he's not experienced enough. I will agree with that. Let's get it straight. West Ham is a tough gig. This is not a job you stroll into and think, lovely jubbly, I'm going to be. This is a hard environment. You've got a tough ownership that are very difficult to deal with. You've got a very demanding fan base that want to see good football and want to, and let's be honest, you walk into that football pitch at London Stadium where you've got fans miles away. It's difficult to create the atmosphere. Fans, we're on edge, aren't we, at the moment? We've been through a lot. It's not an easy environment, is my point, right? So I think you need someone with experience to come in. And yeah, that's where my mind's at with Nuno. And I'm reading X's update, I think that's where that's going. The question is now, when does Potter go? So I say the indication is that he could be gone before Everton. I've always felt that Everton would be his last game. That was always the message that came across from X for quite some time. Everton was seen as like, we're going to deal with things, get him, he'll be gone after an Everton game. I still get the feeling that's probably going to be the case. But they're worried now about a new manager coming in, the first game being Arsenal, and then you get battered, and then all of a sudden, it's a bad start. So It's very awkward. My feeling is should be doing it now. I don't know what this dilly dally is. If Nuno wants the job and you can get him sorted, just get the deal done, get it sorted out. We know that he's Potter's going anyway. So that's where my thoughts are. Looking forward to hearing yours. I will have more to come, of course, on this and bits and pieces. We're expecting an update again from X tomorrow. There may be another video later on today. If not tomorrow morning, I'll do something. But look, that's where we are at the moment in terms of the managerial situation. I'll keep you posted and hopefully we get some movement soon because bloody hell, do we need something to happen in this season? Jesus Christ. Have a good one. Catch you later. Come on, your ones.